The views and opinions expressed by guests on this show are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of myself or our sponsors. Hello, everyone. We are back with the podcast Homes Off Script, and I am excited to get this one started because I really think that this is an amazing product, technology, all that good stuff. And so we'll hear more about that for sure. I have Chris Storey with C&E Pipe Services out of Dallas, uh, a recovering home inspector that has went a different route that seems to be working out really well for him.
I'm on the wagon still.
All right, I like that. Can't wait to dive into this. So, Chris, why don't you tell us about yourself, a little bit of your background and how you got started with this company.
Yeah, absolutely, man. First, thanks for having me on. It's pretty cool. It's my first podcast, so
mine too. I don't know what I'm
doing. Yeah, I've been in and out of the trades my whole life with my dad and my uncles. I did a lot of taping and bedding, drywall, painting, a lot of painting. I've worn a lot of hats over the years, and I got into inspecting, I want to say it was about 7 years ago. I just wanted to find something that I could, build a career out of, reputation, and it really, really intrigued me. I always loved building science, man. So I started obviously off getting my license in Texas, and then I got a job working for Greenworks. I started with Greenworks 7 years ago when it was really, really small, 10 people in Dallas. And then I helped grow that company into kind of what it is today. And, from there, I started as an inspector, moved on to being a trainer, then moved on to being a market leader when we moved into different markets. I was one of the first market leaders in DFW, and then I helped develop their corporate training program. And then from there, I came up with the idea to develop a apprenticeship program. So became a sponsoring inspector and built out an apprenticeship program that's been pretty successful for him. And then from there, I jumped to the recruitment and acquisition manager. I got pretty ill for a while, had some health issues, and wasn't able to, didn't feel safe up on roofs anymore, and ended up getting a pacemaker put in. It was a whole ordeal. It sucked. During that transition, I became the recruitment acquisition manager for Greenworks. I pretty much hired everyone that worked there now, for the past 3 years. And then I became the VP of their home solutions department. While I was there, man, I came across, I love learning, that's what the coolest part about being a home inspector is your continuing education and the learning process just never quits, man. So that was really attractive to me. And of course, I came across this inversion pipelining during my, little late night internet searches, of weird things. And I was like, man, that's really cool. And when I made the decision last year to step away from inspections and do something, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And luckily for me, my current wife is her ex-husband. Me and him became very good friends, and he's a master plumber for TD Industries. He actually did the designs for the Ranger stadiums and AT&T Stadium, and they're a really big company. Yeah, so he's got a great background as a shop foreman, and he had his master plumber's license. And I started doing some research on pipelining, and I came to him with it and was like, hey, what do you think about this? Is this viable? What do you think about the process? Do you think that this is something that's going to withstand the test of time? And the more research we did on it, the more, he was like, this is amazing, and I think we both agreed that this is going to be kind of the industry standard for in slab pipe repairs in the future, especially with post tension cables being more prominent. Instead of having an X-ray machine find out where the post tension cables are to, crack into the slab or tunneling underneath with the expansive clay soils we have in North Texas and messing with the foundation, not backfilling it correctly. We found a pull in place, cured in place pipe method, and reached out to the creator of it and became partners with him.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of how we got started, man.
Yeah. So I have a good story with that. 2015, we were moving up in houses. So we were selling our little starter home here in just north of San Antonio. And probably 3 years before that, our home was shaped like an L, and the master suite was the one leg. I could stick my hand up between the wall and the ceiling. Is how much shifting and stuff I had. So I had a structural engineer come out, do all the measurements, give his opinion and everything. He says, I think it's just normal shifting. You don't have foundation issues. Great, awesome news. Well, we go to sell, and I'm a motivated seller. I provide that engineer's report and all this stuff. Well, the potential buyer just happened to be the safety manager for one of the large plumbing companies, in San Antonio. And he says, "Hey, did you ever have a hydrostatic test done on that sewer line?" And I said, "No, we never had any issues with drainage or anything. So we're good to go. Let's get this house sold." He says, "Well, I'd really like to have this hydrostatic test done." And I said, "Okay, well, motivated seller, let's get this done," because I had no concerns. Well, come to find out, it failed hydrostatic. They put a sewer camera down there. It ended up being 17 feet under the slab from my cleanout. And this was 2015. And back then it was $200 a foot to tunnel. But we needed to get the repair done. Had a big crack in the line. So 200 feet to tunnel, however much the repair, ended up being like $6,500 to get this repair done. And I look and been following the videos and stuff like that you guys have been putting out, and I think, man, I could have saved so much time, so much hassle, probably a crap ton of money, because the repair itself was, probably, less than an hour. They cut that section of pipe out and, glue a couple new pieces in, because it wasn't near a joint or anything. It was just in the straight line. But the tunneling underneath my slab, and who knows if they like you said, who knows if they backfilled it correctly. I don't have a clue what it looks like today. That buyer ended up walking away, and we got it repaired. And then like 2 days later, we're back under contract with a new seller or a new buyer. So it all ended up good. I mean, I took a little hit on my profit, but that's all right. But yeah, so when I saw this we call it inversion lining. Is that what the technical name is?
So there's different types of lining. There is a PIP, which is a pull in place, which is what we do.
Okay.
And then you have an inversion, which actually uses pressure and inverts the liner that's covered in epoxy. Gotcha. And blows it into. So yeah, the inversion typically is only good for outside of the slab. At this moment, there's not an inversion. Even the light ray that everybody's raving about right now is not Universal Plumbing Code, International Construction Code approved for in-slab pipe repairs. The IPT PIP is the only one that is.
Oh, wow. Okay. Good to know. Oh, wow. So take me through the process. I mean, what exactly is it? So I have a sewer line. It's cast iron. I guess does it go in any material? I mean, PVC, whatever.
Yep. So we've lined cast iron, clay, Orangeburg. We've lined actually an asbestos cement exterior line. we actually lined that one by pulling it about 125 feet away in the manhole that was 2 streets down.
Oh, wow.
So, that one was pretty wild. But so the process is, the best way to explain it is, think of angioplasty, right? If you have heart problems and they go in, you have a bunch of buildup that they will use something to clear that blockage, right? And then they will pull a stent in place, and then they inflate it, and then you have a permanent opening now to allow flow. So it's the same process with us. We use flex shaft machines, mini millers, pretty expensive equipment, and we go in and they have chain knockers on them. So think of, it's a braided cable flex shaft with a solid core, and then the chains sit on the end of it. We measure the chains to fit whatever pipe diameter we're putting it in, and it has carbide tips on it. And we go in and we descale with that. Basically, the point of descaling when you're doing lining is to, one, give it a nice smooth surface to adhere to, but mainly it is to bring that pipe back to its original diameter or as close as possible. Because, if you think about it, you're putting a 4-inch liner into a pipe that's now 3 3/4. That liner is going to fold on itself, right? So it's very important to be able to get that pipe as clean as possible.
Gotcha.
Once the pipe is clean, we only need 2 access points. So we can pull from a clean out. We can pull from a toilet flange. We can actually pull from the drain release fence stacks through a roof. We can pull through stub outs. And we actually can pull through, like we did with the asbestos cement. We pulled through the front clean out and the manhole. So we floated a plastic bag full of water down the building drain into the main city sewer. It had the manhole cover up. And as that bag passed by with a piece of mule tape on it, we caught it. And then we pulled from that manhole the liner in place.
That's awesome.
And then it was pretty cool. After that liner's in place, then we inflate it. So there's a bladder that's installed inside of it. The way that we install that bladder is it's a felt liner that we have a epoxy mixture that goes into that felt liner. Once the epoxy's in and completely coated, we call that a wet out. We invert a piece of plastic through it, and that's going to be a barrier between the epoxy felt and the bladder. And that's how that doesn't stick to it. Okay. Once that inverted piece of plastic is inside the felt epoxy liner, we pull a bladder with 2 end caps through it, and then we basically wrap it. So those 2 end caps are going to have, one of them is going to be closed, and one of them is going to have an air connection for an air hose that we connect to a compressor. So once that is all installed, we roll it like a burrito, basically fold it in thirds, and then tape it up with some painter's tape very loosely. And that gives us, a nice kind of size to be able to pull through the pipe. Using a camera while it's down there, we make sure that we pull it in place exactly where it needs to go. And then we inflate it. So there's a couple of ways that you can allow it to cure. You can let ambient temperature cure it, typically 7 to 8 hours. We have a steam method as well, too, that can bring it down to about 4 hours. But that steam method is really only good for liners probably 20 feet or smaller. Anything more than that, and there's a hydronic system that we have with hot water. Different systems require different end caps, obviously. But the end result is the same. It inflates the liner. The liner bleeds through and adheres to the pipe. We let it sit and cure. When it's done, we deflate the bladder and then pull that bladder and the plastic inverted barrier out. And all you're left with is a brand new pipe.
That is cool. That sounds pretty neat. I'd love to. I wish I was closer to Dallas. I'd love to get up there and just watch you guys do a repair one day. So when it's done, you're back to basically full diameter. The liner itself doesn't take up too much room or anything like that?
Yeah, no, not at all. Do you mind giving me like 2 seconds?
Go ahead.
Let me show you something real quick. All right, man. Sorry. Had to dodge a bunch of kids
No, you're good.
and animals.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but that blue inside of this PVC is the actual liner itself. Slightly reducing the
So
size.
you might be losing an eighth of an inch or so.
Yeah.
Or a quarter of an inch, maybe.
Yeah. Even though it slightly reduces the interior diameter of the pipe, it actually increases the flow rate due to the material. So,
oh, absolutely. I can imagine that thing being clogged up with 20 years of whatever, especially PVC, maybe not as much, but yeah, definitely cast iron.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been out on jobs on those 50-year-old cast iron lines that you're like, I don't even want to brush up against it. The damn thing's going to break.
Oh yeah, man. The things that I've seen since starting this have been, it's been pretty wild. But it's amazing what a good descaling will do for your pipes and extend the longevity of them, the life expectancy. There's times where I've gone in to clean a pipe, and after cleaning it, there's nothing wrong. Structurally, it's sound, So that cast iron that everybody thought was dead probably has another 5 years of life in it, after the descaling. So regardless, anyone out there, if you have any cast iron, I would not let anybody descale with an old cable machine and a cutting head because that's just going to damage it. But if you get somebody out there that knows what they're doing with a flex shaft machine and chain knockers and carbide tips, you really can knock out all of that rust and corrosion, scale and calcium buildup, open up those pipes again and get some flow, get a little more life out of them. So
great. So how do I know if I need your services? What are going to be some indicators or anything?
Do you have cast iron?
Maybe I don't.
Yeah.
That's just
it's a starting point. So, if your house was built before 1980 in Texas, chances are you either had or have still cast iron pipes inside the slab. Getting a sewer scope is always kind of your first preventative measure. Home inspectors out there that are able to provide that service. It's a great service to be able to give your clients, to give them some knowledge and allow them to make an educated decision when they're making their purchase. But yeah, cast iron pipes, if you have slow drains in the home, 9 times out of 10, a slow drain, it's going to be at your trap. So you got a slow drain on your tub, it's probably at the trap. Get it cleaned out, air ram it, things of that nature. But once you do that, if you clean those traps and the sink traps and the tub traps, and you're still having slow drains and you have cast iron pipes, it's probably due to the fact that a pipe this diameter is now shrunken down to this. So it's impeding flow. Even flushing toilet paper is going to get caught because, as we know, cast iron kind of shards from the inside out and kind of scales and breaks apart. All of those are going to catch any soft particles, blockages coming through. We call soft blockages, toilet paper and things of that nature. A lot of wipes. See a lot of wipes out there. Everybody thinks that because it says flushable on there that it's okay to flush them. Never okay to flush them. Sometimes it's something just as easy as clearing the soft blockage, descaling, and like I said, you'll get a little bit of flow back for a little bit longer, but yeah.
So that's all part of your evaluation. You go out there, it kind of starts with obviously talking to the client on what the process is and the you give them a quote or whatever, but then you get in there and really all it needs is, you do the descaling and that's it. You can give them some good news.
Yeah. We like to, everything that I'm trying to do with this company, I'm trying to take all of my experiences from working with past trades, working in the trades, working, having things done at my house. And I'm like, okay, what would I have appreciated? What would I have liked done to me in certain situations? So, we deal with things from a client's perspective. We don't want to sell you anything that you don't need. We don't want to double charge you, right? So many times you'll have somebody come out, they'll charge you to come out, then they'll charge you again to come out and do something else. They'll make temporary repairs and, because they know that they're going to have to call you again, like Roto-Rooter, temporary repair. You have roots in your system, them coming out there and shoving an auger or a cable machine down there with a cutting head and opening that back up. They know in 6 months you're going to be calling them again, right? They don't, they try and sell you an extra sewer camera. You shouldn't be cleaning drains if you're not going to run a camera down behind it, because you need to know, one, you've actually cleared the blockage, two, what the blockage was, and three, what can you do to prevent people from having to come back out again? So all of those things we try to.
Roots don't come through solid pipe.
Yeah. So we try to implement all that with the way that we deal with our clients. Any service that we do rolls into the final cost of anything that they end up doing with us. So even if it's just a sewer camera inspection, $250 for a sewer camera inspection, but if they're going to get a descaling's $1,350. We're not going to charge them $1,350 and the $250. We're going to take the $250 off the $1,350. If we descale and we come across and find structural defects in the pipe, it's broken, there's roots coming in, things of that nature, we're not going to charge them $250, $1,350, and then $5,000 for a liner. We're going to, take what they've paid previously, deduct that from the cost of, the final product, which is the liner. And that way the clients feel like they are, one, being treated fairly, that it's not a money grab of, hey, what can I sell them? Right. What can I get from them? And they know that, we offer a 10-year warranty with our liner. Not a lot of companies out there. I don't know any companies that will offer that. So, we stand behind our product and we want to make sure that our clients are taken care of and hopefully we don't have to see them again,
Right. Yeah. So what are the, every product, every service is going to have some limitations. What are the limitations of this pipelining?
So bellies are going to be a big one, right? So if you have a belly that's going to extend 4 feet plus outside, or inside, outside the slab, it doesn't matter. What's going to happen is you have such a sag that the liner has nothing to adhere to, right? For an extended period of extended length. So long bellies are not good to line. I wouldn't recommend them. In that instance, we would recommend that you do dig that particular section out and replace it. And then we can line everything else. Regardless, we come in at, half the cost of what traditional digging and trenching does. So, I had a guy in Richardson today that I went out there to line his 2,300 square foot home. We're looking at about 25 grand. That sounds expensive, except 3 plumbers have been out there and all of them told him 45,000 plus. Plus that means he's got to shut his house down. He's got to mess with his foundation. He's got to tear up his flooring. He's got to tear up his tile in his bathroom. With us, we don't have any of that. We actually had a client this past weekend, right? So the home buyers reached out to us and asked us to take a look at it. And we went out there and we found, some trench rot. We found some cracks, some pretty significant cracks in the cast iron, and very, very heavy scale buildup. And the clients kind of backed out of the deal because of it, right? Well, we had spoken to the homeowner. She reached out to us after the client backed out of the deal and asked us, hey, how much is it going to cost for you to come out here and repair this? And, our cost was 50% less than a plumber's, traditional repair would have cost. Plus, she was showing homes while we were doing this. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we were done. Yeah. She was able to show her house. There was no construction, no debris, no dust. But back to your point. Sorry.
So what does? Okay, no, it's great. I love all this. This is fantastic stuff. What's a timeline? I mean, you get a client calling you, you go out there, you do the evaluation. Yep, you have to have a liner done. What are we looking at timeline wise?
So it depends on the extent of the repairs that are going to be needed. So if we're talking just a 20-foot liner, right, just a basic patch repair in a 3-inch main, we're going to go in, we're going to descale the entire main, right? We're going to rescope it. That's going to take about a day. We're going to flush it, hydrojet it, low pressure, and gallons per minute, about 2.5 gallons per minute. Like to stick between 1,600. Typically a 45-degree angle on our jetting heads. So 90-degree angles are going to cut right into the pipe. We don't want that. So we like it to kind of push back. And basically what we're doing is everything that we've descaled and broken down into that pipe, we want it all pushed out to the main and brought out, right? Once that pipe is nice and clean, then we will measure out exactly where the liner needs to go. Typically, we'll actually use our camera to measure the liner. So we don't use the actual counter on the camera head. We will use some electrical tape and kind of make marks. So we'll get the camera head to where the beginning of the liner is going to start, right? Once that camera head gets right to the beginning of the head, we're going to mark with tape on the clean out, right? And then we're going to push all the way to the end of where that liner goes. And then we're going to mark that fiber, the push rod with another piece of tape. Then we pull out and we measure just that push rod. And that's the way to get it perfectly accurate.
That's perfect. Yeah, you're exactly right. People probably think I'm dumb for being, I'm nerding out on this stuff because one, just having the experience of having the, I mean, I bet those guys were digging it was at least a week and a half long.
Yeah.
That between digging and the repair, and then they tore up all my landscaping. I mean, I was selling the house, so in one way I didn't care as much, but in another, I'm still trying to sell the house, so I needed to keep it looking good.
Yeah.
I tore up my landscaping. I mean, I had this big pile of rock because I don't know what the dirt up there is, but where I was living, it's just nothing but rock. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so I had this huge pile of dirt and rock, and I mean, it was a mess. So this technology sounds pretty great to me.
Yeah, I mean, I nerd out on it too still. I mean, I made a little collage of pictures of the pipes, that the before and after, and I send them to all my realtors and inspector friends and stuff like that. And I could send it to 100 people, and every time I send it, I look at it and I'm like, damn, that's amazing. it's just really cool to know what you can do. It looks like, it doesn't even look like the same house. And people are like, that's not the same house. I'm like, look at where the branch lines are coming in. It's the exact same pipes, it's just, brand new.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So to just kind of let myself down here a little bit and get off my high, let's talk about you a little bit more. How do people get a hold of you guys? What do you do when you're not lining pipes, just a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So father of 3, I got 2 stepkids, a 17-year-old daughter, 12-year-old stepson, and my son is 14. So they keep us pretty busy. I don't know. I don't really have any hobbies anymore. Like my work and job and learning, my continuing education is kind of my main hobby. If I'm not doing something, I'm probably watching, some type of educational video or reading something that came out about whether it's home inspections or pipelining or, new roof vents that they have, or, I just nerd out on that stuff. Like you said, I enjoy it. I enjoy learning about it. hot tub every once in a while. That's fun. A lot of music, concerts. We like to try and go when we can. So that's really it, man.
You said you enjoy gardening. Is that
So my wife got me into
vegetable
gardening.
gardening?
Yeah, my wife got me into it. So before I was married, never thought about it, right? But kind of,
Right.
one plant here, now three plants, now five plants, and caught me out there, taking care of the rose bushes and the hydrangeas and stuff. And it's something that just kind of didn't come naturally to me, but because of her, it's kind of grew into an interest. So
She's getting you all domesticated.
I know.
So, are you still doing home inspections, or is the pipe your new business keeping you busy enough to where you ain't got time?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I really did think about doing both. Um, I have a really good realtor group that has used me for years, and I kind of passed them off to other inspectors once I wasn't able to, do that service anymore. And I really didn't think that we were going to be as successful as we were. I was thinking that we were going to get a job here and a job there, and it would take a year or two to build up. But luckily, the relationships that I've been able to build uh, have really helped kind of catapult this company. So to answer your question, I thought about doing inspections. I don't have time though. This is
Yeah,
it's taking up all my time, which is a good thing.
I would say that's not a bad thing
Yeah.
whatsoever. The probably the most frustrating thing that could happen is to not take off for a year and a half, 2 years,
Yeah. I'll
and
tell you.
you're sitting here going, "It's great. Why aren't people using it?"
Yeah, man. So I really thought this job was going to be easier than it actually is. Like our first house was a house of horrors, right? And it sucked. And our trainers and the guys that trained us on these products, they were like, "Man, you did the worst of the worst. It's only going to be better from here." So I was like, "Well, that wasn't that bad, like it sucked, but it wasn't that bad." And I'm stuck up on a roof over the weekend on an 8 and 12 pitch, just hanging out, trying to see a sewer camera down on the ground while I'm manipulating, an 8 millimeter gator tool through a 3-inch drain waste vent stack, trying to descale so I can do a reinstate. I was up there for 5 hours. You know what I mean? I'm 6'5".
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, like my back was killing me. I was just like, I didn't sign up for this, man. So,
No kidding.
um, but yeah, no, I really do, man. I really enjoy it. So,
Good. One thing I realized I didn't ask, what is your guys' radius? I mean, like how far, like I need you to come down to San Antonio and do some work for me. That's probably a little too far for you.
yeah, it is. I mean, luckily, we have a really great network, within the community for IPT. So the creator of it, his name is Cameron. He knows. I mean, I get people asking me all the time. I got people from Florida, in my real estate group, my bird groups. When I tell people about it, they're like, "Oh, I wish you were here." I'm like, "Well, you know what? I got somebody for you." So if anybody wants to find us, you can go to our website. It's cepipeservices.com. You can find us on Facebook, C&E Pipe Services. You can find us on YouTube, LinkedIn. But reach out on any of those platforms, guys. If you know somebody that would be interested in the services, or you're interested, or you think that it would be a great option to be able to give your clients and your realtors, you can always reach out to us. And like I said, the pipelining service industry, it's pretty tight knit. So, we always give out referrals when we can.
Good stuff. Yeah, and I'll make sure that we include all the links and how to get a hold of you in the show notes and everything like that. Uh, But I know we're getting into that dinner time, so I don't know if anybody heard my belly growling over the mic. Hopefully, it didn't pick that up. But so we'll start wrapping this up. But man, like I said, people are going to think I'm an idiot for nerding out so much on this, but I just think it's a much needed and it can much needed service, and it can save people so much time, effort, money uh, versus the traditional methods. Uh,
Yeah, I do want to
we've
say,
known each
man.
other on Facebook for a while, and I appreciate your honesty, and you've always been a real stand-up guy with everything. So I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that too. I love helping people and, um, kind of anything I can do to help the industry, whether it's the home inspection industry or, um, the pipelining industry or anything. I'm a licensed plumber now too, so that's awesome. But
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah, no, man. I'll tell you what. I never thought I'd make my money playing in crap, but I definitely playing crap. So it is what it is.
Good stuff.
All
All
right.
right. Any last parting words for advice, anything like that for anybody? Anybody looking to get into the home inspection field? Anybody looking to get into the pipelining trades? Anything like that?
Yeah, I heard Gatewood's hiring. So I mean, if you guys are looking,
Always.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think regardless of your background, if you have intensity and dedication and focus and the willingness to learn, I think anybody really. I know a lot of people out there probably won't agree with me, but I think anybody with those attributes can get into the home inspection business and even into the pipelining business. Unfortunately, you also need to have a master plumber, but and the willingness to play and poop. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I every now and then I get the chance to talk to some of the classes and stuff that are going through the licensing for home inspections, and I've told them, for like one of the first questions is how many of you come from the trades, and you get one or two guys that raise their hand or whatever, and I'm like, you're not going to do any better than this guy that was stocking shelves at Walmart,
hey, I'll tell you what, man.
necessarily.
I got to give a shout out to a buddy of mine. I've known this guy since he was 18 when I met him. I think I was 22. We worked at a restaurant together. His name's Randall Jakins. He is a home inspector at Greenworks, and he was one of my first apprentices that we tried with the apprenticeship program. This guy's never worked any type of trade whatsoever. Bartender, serving experience his entire life, right? I worked at, hockey rinks and stuff. Man, that guy is just crushing it right now. He is so knowledgeable, so good with his clients and with his realtors. I think he holds at least a 55% referral rate at this point right now, doing almost 300 inspections a year. So a little shout out to him, man. He's doing great. And if he can do it, like I said,
That's great.
Anybody out there with the right motivation and drive can do it. So
Yeah, it's about attention to detail. It's about your customer service and your customer interaction.
Yep.
Yeah. The knowledge as far as homes go, that's like third in line. You absolutely have to know home systems and homes in general to be able to be a good inspector. But like I came from the trades, I came from a construction background, and I had a little bit of the customer service stuff, but that's probably what I struggled with the most is, I'm kind of a introvert and, try not to. I mean, that was kind of one of the reasons I got into home inspection. Oh, I can go to a house and be by myself and not have people people bugging me.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, I'm in. But yeah, I mean, if you've got that attention to detail and like I said, the social skills to do the customer service and not scare people, I think is a huge attribute too, is being able to explain things in non-scary manner. And I mean, and I'm sure that translates over to your company too, as far as, you got to be able to negotiate some hurdles with clients that either one don't want to believe that they have a problem, because well, I've never had a problem before.
Yeah.
Why is it's like the seller that got the or the buyer got the report and asked for
Dude,
you guys to come out there and look.
when I got the call from the seller and they told me they can't, you know how many times I've gotten that call doing home inspections? You killed my deal, and blah, blah. But man, it wasn't, dude. I was preparing for it the moment she said something, hey, this is Aaron. And I was like, oh God, here we go. And she was like, buyer's canceled. When can you come and make the repairs? And I was just like, well,
Nice.
Okay. So
that went much better than I thought it was.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I was prepared to get ripped into and like, listen, I sent you the pictures. Like they speak for themselves. But yeah, and actually the job that I did this morning was a refer. No, excuse me, the job I did this afternoon. I got called at like 1:00 to go back out to Richardson, and it was because she had referred me to one of her agents' clients that was having an issue. So not only did she call me after the fact, we made the repairs, but then she gave me a referral. So it's pretty awesome.
That's great. I couldn't be more happy for you that this is blowing up for you. This is great.
I appreciate it, man.
All right. Well, we'll wrap it up here. Again, Chris Storey with C&E Pipe Services in Dallas. I appreciate it, man. This is great.
Yeah.
This is exactly where I want the podcast to go, is just kind of talking about other companies that benefit the real estate world and homes in general. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Like I said, we'll throw everything in the show notes for how people can get a hold of you. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I'm really glad you're doing this. I think it's cool. I think that, you're going to be able to bring a lot of knowledge to, some inspectors and other people that aren't inspectors that, maybe now if somebody sees this, they can go, hey, I'm going to look into that. And then next time they have a home pre-1980, they're going to go, you have cast iron. Typically, what you would say is you have cast iron, it's got a 50-year shelf life. It's going to go out if it's not already. And now you can say, hey,
right,
you got cast iron, but there's options out there for you now instead of digging, so.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, we will get off here. And again, thanks for stepping on and sharing some knowledge with us. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. It was good to see you. I look forward to your next podcast, man.
Hey, all right, appreciate you. All rights to this production are the sole property of me, Shannon Gatewood. So keep your grubby hands off, muchacho.